Joining me today is Kyle Kirkwood. He's driver of the number 27 Honda for Andretti Autosport. He's going to be at Iowa Speedway this weekend for Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend. Kyle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great too, Kyle. We're excited to have you come to Iowa. Have you been to Iowa Speedway before? I believe you have one other time, right?
Yes, that's correct. I raced there last year. We had a double header last year, and I raced with AJ Foyt Racing in the 14 car in 22.
Oh, you've been with a few icons then. First AJ, now the Andretti's. That's a pretty good company.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I've always wondered, is it intimidating to race for somebody like the Andretti's? Because I know I'd be nervous about something like that.
Not really. You know, I've been a part of the Andretti Autosport family actually for a few years now. Starting in 2020, I raced for them in Indy Lights for 2020, 2021. And then I jumped ship to AJ Foyt Racing for last year, and now I'm back with them for this year. So I've known him for a while. I think from the public, it's probably a little bit intimidating, but once you're within the family, it's just such a nice, comforting group that I wouldn't say I feel intimidated whatsoever.
Yeah, it sounds like it becomes like a bit of a family after a while. I love that.
Exactly.
On the line is Kyle Kirkwood, driver of the number 27 Honda for Andretti Autosport. And Kyle, you mentioned Indy Lights. I was looking into your career in 2021, man. You were on a tear. You won a bunch of races. And what was it like to be in that series and break into it and have so much success right off the bat like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's super important for myself because all through the lower categories, you have USF 2000 at the time. It was called Indy Pro 2000, and then you move into Indy Lights, and then you move into IndyCar. And for me to actually make it to IndyCar, I had to win every single championship in consecutive years to be able to get the scholarship to move on because, as everyone knows, racing is extremely expensive, and usually you're not really making a career out of it if you're paying for all of it. So I had to go the scholarship route, win all the championships, and then move myself up into IndyCar, which I was fortunate enough to do last year.
Well, Kyle, you're doing a great job, and you won your first NTT IndyCar Series race this year at Long Beach. What was that like?
I mean, it was fantastic. You know, Long Beach is a extremely important race in the IndyCar Series. It's the second biggest one of the year, next to the Indy 500, where everyone knows the Indy 500 is the biggest race of the year. So that was really cool I kind of mark as my first win. You know, it was also Michael Andretti's first win in IndyCar, and I was able to do it with his team. So that was something that was special to me. You know, but we've had a lot of opportunities this year to win, and that was the only one that we actually got it done. And it's a big confidence boost for myself, a big confidence boost for the team, which is something that kind of just creates momentum, right? Because everyone feels like, okay, we have a race-winning car, we have a race-winning driver, now we just need to go do it. And everyone pushes and strives for that rather than, okay, we're striving for a top 10 here. No, we feel like we need to be out there winning races. So that's something that's been really nice this year, and it's kept everyone's hopes really high.
Absolutely. That determination keeps pushing you on. On the line is Kyle Kirkwood. He's driver of the number 27 Honda for Andretti Autosport. He's going to be at Iowa Speedway this weekend for Hy-Vee IndyCar weekend. And speaking of determination and stuff like that, Kyle, yesterday I was talking to Rinus VK, and we were talking about the doubleheader coming up here at Iowa this weekend and how tough it is and how it's just kind of a different setup to do two races back-to-back. How challenging do you think it would be to win two races in a row? Do you think that's something that could be possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible because oval racing is so much different than, I guess, road or street course racing is, just because you're very car dependent. You have to set up a really good race car, and you can't really drive through a bad race car, I'd say, on ovals. So it's very possible for someone to win both races back to back just because their car is just that good. But it's such a challenging two races. It's such a challenging one race, to be honest, because of how short the track is. You have no time to relax on the straights because we're doing 190 miles per hour, so you get about 4 or 5 seconds to breathe, and then you're already turning into the next corner. And that's really not enough time in these cars. There's a multitude of other challenges, too, like the bumps that you get in the middle of the corners. The asphalt is quite old around that place, and it actually creates a lot of tire wear, but it's also very physical, considering that we have no power steering. And another thing is how hot it is. Usually this race is around 85, even up to 100 degrees. I think one of our races last year was just over 100 degrees when we started the race. And that is very, very wearing on a driver, because anytime you get above, I'd say 80 degrees ambient, you can add another 20, 25 degrees inside the cockpit. So trying to stay hydrated, especially for the two races. Once you get through the first one, you have to fully reset and prepare for the next one, which is not an easy thing to do. So it's a challenging weekend for us, but it's a big weekend to score a lot of points, and ultimately you just need a really good car to be able to get that done.
Kyle, just you mentioning what it's like inside that car is making me warm even. It's going to be a hot weekend, but I don't think it's going to be as hot as last year, thankfully, so hopefully it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah, last year it was kind of nice because the first race was extremely hot, and then the second race it cooled down. And it was kind of like in the 70s, but we were all so depleted from day one that even though it was cool, we were all still dying in the car the next day. So it's a challenge to get through the two. Fortunately, like you said, it's going to be a little bit cooler. That helps us out a little bit, but it's still not going to be easy whatsoever.
Definitely. And Kyle, earlier you were mentioning how IndyCar at an oval like this is so unique, and it's definitely something you see from the stands too. It's something, if you've never seen it, you need to come see it and check it out. It's very fast and very cool. Say there's some fans out there that maybe have never been to an IndyCar race. How would you say it's different than other racing series? What makes IndyCar unique to you from like a fan's perspective?
Yeah, so IndyCar racing is just phenomenal. We race in very high downforce, high-powered cars. We make around 5,000 pounds of downforce. So pretty much take your car, because it weighs 1,800 pounds, you can go about 100 miles per hour, then turn it upside down, and it will drive straight upside down because of how much downforce and how much pressure there is on the car to push it down. And usually with that downforce comes dirty air, and whenever you get behind people with dirty air, you usually lose some ability to pass people, and that's kind of what you see in any other open wheel category. But for some reason, our Indy cars race extremely well, even in that dirty air. And Iowa's one place, and I want to say it's the only oval that we really go to that allows you to race different lines around the circuit. So if someone's running the low line, you can actually go up high and not lose much time and actually be faster than the guy in front of you because you're not in that dirty air. You're not directly in their wake, which is something that's just so cool about the Iowa Speedway, because you see guys kind of running all over the track and making it work and making passes stick. But that's also something that's very car dependent. Sometimes your car wants to run low, sometimes it wants to run high, and sometimes you can run all over the place. You never really know where you're going to get until you get into the race. But that's something that's just so cool about IndyCar racing, is just how close the racing is and how much we can race, even in that dirty air and kind of that vortex effect.
That's so cool. I love our home track here in Iowa, and I love hearing guys like you, Kyle, talk about racing on it. Again, Kyle Kirkwood, driver of the number 27 Honda for Andretti Autosport. He's going to be at Iowa Speedway this weekend for Hy-Vee IndyCar race weekend. It's going to be an awesome time with all the concerts and, of course, all the stars of the IndyCar series, too. Kyle, I want to thank you for stopping by and talking to me. Really appreciate it, and good luck this weekend. I'm excited to see you take the track.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Kyle. And remember, you can get tickets still at HyVeeIndyCarWeekend.com.